Demka just made a video where he was talking about gun ownership and how gun ownership's gone way up. It's close to the all-time high of like 52%, but something like 48% of Americans own firearms, which is encouraging. I love the idea of people owning guns. I have guns myself, but I wonder, when you look at something like, okay, when the Japanese say they never invaded the mainland because there'd be a gun behind every blade of grass. I think that those were different people back then. Now, how many of these people own guns for self-defense only? Meaning that unless it's like them versus a robber coming into their home, they're not really going to use it for anything else. So that's just kind of its function. And I know a lot of people personally that have, an old revolver, qualify as owning a gun, and 6 rounds for it, or maybe a box of ammunition. And the other thing is, if there was ever the need for the original idea of the Second Amendment to the Constitution, which has nothing to do with self-defense, it has everything to do with keeping tyranny, from falling on the people at the hands of the government. Are we the type of people that would be willing to make that stand if it were necessary, hypothetically, and B, would we be capable? Now, I've always kind of thought optimistically that hopefully a lot of the military wouldn't participate in such an exercise. I may be naive there, I don't know. But just looking around, and this is based on some political commentary I heard, Americans, I think, are a number of things that we weren't in the past. And I think we're scared, we're apathetic, we're lazy, we're overweight, and out of shape. And we're propagandized. Now, this is very broad. If you fall into one of these categories, I'm not ripping on you personally, but as a nation, as a whole, this isn't everyone. And what got me thinking about this was, you look at like a military. Now, many of you who've been in the military, you guys obviously know, especially even people that don't. You guys know that they make you put on packs and they make you run. They make you do a ton of fitness type stuff, with all your gear. They make sure you're familiar with it, that you know it, automatically, without question. And they also make sure that you are equipped. The average person, I don't think, has any of those skills. Now, I'm probably preaching to a lot of people that do have those skills, so obviously not everyone, but I am talking about the people that have, granddaddy shotgun, and they really haven't dusted it off. They probably couldn't disassemble it, don't have the items to clean it. Maybe they'll break it out once every couple of years to go skeet shooting, something like that. And the only way that we would let legislation go through that's gone through, with take your pick, you guys know them all, is the fact that we're willing to trade off our freedom for security. And what's to say now if the economy doesn't collapse or something doesn't happen, take your pick, that the government's not going to say, hey, you know what, here's a big security blanket, but we're gonna need your gun for that. And I've always thought food for guns would be, some sort of option there if people are starving. But it just doesn't strike me as feasible. And the reason I came upon this thought is the revolutionary days. Now, I have written a history and then, some kind of like depictions of how it was. But if you look at a movie like The Patriot, for example, and a lot of these people, they were on farms, manual labor. The gun was a tool that they used all the time. They knew basically their area, their territory. There was no cars. They had to get around on foot all the time or horseback, and they were proficient in all these skills. And that's the only reason that we won the Revolutionary War, is due to the fact that we basically outsmarted the British. I mean, it was the biggest war machine on the planet at the time. Are we those same people? Let's just say we'll take the average American today and put them back in revolutionary times. I don't think that that would have gone the same way. So I think that when you talk about a society being armed, the fortitude of the people, the ability and the will is very, very important. I would say it's of the utmost importance that you know how to basically implement, these skills and these tactics and have the right tools and be familiar with them. And this is, again, a lot of the original founders of this country said, well, you're going to have to keep this. We're going to give this to you. And I don't want to talk about the validity of the Constitution, but we're going to give this system to you. And you're going to have to keep it, and it's going to be tough, and you're going to have to do whatever you have to do. I think we've lost the skills that if it comes to the ultimate test to the founding document of this country, it would be a hard thing to say that 300 million armed Americans would easily take back their country, let alone the political divergence that we would face in that type scenario. Anyways, that's something that just popped in my head. Yeah, talk to you later.